What's up, guys? Benny Adams here. I'm back, and I am so stoked to have this guy with me right here, Lio Rush. He was a rookie this season, and he has got a lot of people talking. How's it going, Leo?
It's going pretty good. It's been incredible to see the responses from everybody, with me leaving the house. So I'm excited to dive into some stuff here.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to pick your brain, man. So we're just gonna go right into it. But before I do that, make sure you guys like and subscribe so you guys can get all the latest content from Challenge Reality News. But Leo, first I want to talk to you about the beginning of this episode. So everyone's pissed at Jay from what he did in the previous episode. He kind of backstabbed a couple of people, him and Teresa sent in Cam, and so they're not too happy. In my opinion, I feel like this is a game. People can't take this game too seriously, especially with $1 million on the line. I wanted to know what your opinion was on all of that. Do people have a right to be pissed off at Jay?
I don't think. I mean, obviously, I think that they have their reasons of wanting to be pissed off with him because they he, they pretty much got rid of their friend in the house. They lied to people. I know that Jay kind of lied straight to Corey's face
Mhm.
when they were kind of talking off to the side, and um, it was a good game. It was a good game move. It was a good play.
Mhm.
I mean, they had a plan, they executed it, and it worked. Was it? I don't know, the smartest thing to do, because you got to think about when you're making decisions like that. Although you might, execute a plan that you want it to happen within that week, and you still have to deal with what comes with that next week because you clearly lied to people, you pissed off people. So you know people had a reason to be pissed off, but Jay also was playing this game.
Right. No, I completely agree. And this took me back to Jay's first season on Total Madness, where the same people who were pissed at him, like Corey, they were sending him in over and over and over on his first season. And I'm like, can you guys really get mad at the guy? So
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty interesting. But Teresa, she's on the same wavelength as Jay. People aren't happy with Teresa. The thing I like about Teresa is this girl knows how to play this game. She's an OG. She might be playing it a little sneaky, but I'm not mad at that. So she has a conversation with CT saying she wants Darrell out, and CT agrees with her because Darrell's a beast. Do you think that's a smart move to go after such a big guy like Darrell?
I'm not sure. I mean, yes, you want to get the threats out of the house, kind of early on, but I feel like once you start getting close to the middle of the game, I feel like you need to start to think about some strong players that could potentially take you to the final. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it's the smartest thing to get rid of those strong players right in the middle of the game. Maybe it is a good strategic move earlier on, but in the middle, you kind of have to watch who you're sending home, because it could be somebody who could potentially help you in the final or get close to a final. Darrell is a pretty smart player. I feel like even though he has a lot of he might have a target on his back when it comes to those physical challenges, I feel like he can be an ally to somebody in the game, because he seems like a pretty trustworthy person. He seems like he's not bringing or causing too much attention and drama to where he is. So, I mean, I feel like Darrell would be a good person to try to keep in the game for right now.
Was it because we haven't really seen too much of Darrell yet on the show? While you were in the house, was he playing like a pretty low key type of game, or is this all the editing and we just haven't seen him making his moves?
No, I think he was playing a pretty low key game, on top of the fact that I think he was just kind of one of the older people in the house, and I don't think he could really keep up with some of the younger like rookies, and they were all over the place and they strategizing and he was just like, hey, screw this, I'm about to go to sleep. You talk about what you're gonna talk about. But Darrell he's been playing it, pretty low key, but it's smart. It's got him this far.
Nice. And so I want to move on to Fessy and Corey. So Corey still has a bad taste in his mouth for what Fessy did to Nelson. Got him sent home. So Fessy, he comes to apologize to Corey, opens up saying, it's really hard for him in here to speak up. He gets anxious at times. And I'm just thinking to myself, should Corey trust Fessy? Because Fessy comes from Big Brother. Big Brother people, they will look you straight to your face and lie. So I want to know your thoughts on Fessy and Corey. Should Corey trust Fessy?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, it's nothing against Fessy, but just that with that decision that he made to kind of, put himself out there and say, hey, I want to go into this elimination, regardless of who's in there,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I'm sure Fessy might be a good human being outside of the show, but when it comes to the game, I mean, he clearly showed in that moment that he really, he can't be trusted. How do you come back from that? How do you have the time to get over that and, think about trusting somebody who just got rid of your best friend in the game when it's, but so many weeks until we get to the final. I don't know. If I was in Corey's position, I probably wouldn't.
When you were in that house after Fessy did what he did to Nelson, was everyone, were they all trying to go after Fessy after that point? Was he target number one, or were they like, you know what, Fessy's a big guy, we're not gonna be able to take him on?
I think a lot of people were just shocked overall, like including myself. I didn't really know the backstory too much, but once, and I'm sure a lot of people didn't. But I feel like after that elimination, we all got back to the house and we all started to hear, why Corey was so pissed off, why Nelson was so pissed off, why Fessy, was emotional as he was. We kind of started to get that this was like a pretty serious situation, and I think a lot of people just didn't even want to touch it. People were, if you weren't in the situation, if it didn't, affect you personally, because it seemed like it was a pretty personal thing. I feel like people were just kind of like sitting back and watching the show for the most part. But
show.
yeah, it was crazy.
So Fessy, he's in that Big Brother alliance. Did you trust the Big Brother alliance, or were you like, I want nothing to do with these guys?
I think I did. Me and Fessy, we seemed like we were pretty much on the same page the entire time that I was there. Felt like I was on the same page as Casey. I know a lot of interactions and conversations with myself and people weren't really shown all that much on television, but I feel like I had a pretty good relationship with everybody that was a part of Big Brother, even Josh. I felt like I can trust them a little bit.
Nice. So speaking of trust, this challenge was, I've never seen a challenge like this. So pretty much what this challenge was is each player had to hold on to this huge giant net while flying above the air. A helicopter is holding on to the net. And so the thing about this challenge is the girls went all out. They were ruthless. The guys, however, did absolutely nothing. Like, I kid you not, man. The only person who was trying to like do something was Jay, and he was trying to get out Leroy because he knew Leroy was going after him. So I want to know, if you were still in that house doing that challenge, would you have done what the guys did? Because in a way, I get it. The guys, they're not trying to ruin any alliances and whatnot. So they don't want to ruffle any feathers. Would you have done the same thing, or would you have gone all out, knowing that you are a competitor outside of this game?
I think I would have gone all out. I think it's easy to kind of look at that and say, you know, these guys were, you know, playing a strategic game and they didn't want to like mess up alliances. But if being completely honest, if you're looking at who did something and who didn't, uh, you know, Jay is a rock climber. Like he's super comfortable in an environment like that. With the other
Yeah,
guys, you know, they probably didn't want to move because they were scared they were going to slip and fall without anybody even touching them. So,
good point.
you know, like they were probably just trying to stay on themselves. But I could see why Jay went all out. He's comfortable in that type of situation.
All right. No, I completely agree. So in the end, it was between Teresa, who went during the second heat, and Casey, who went during the first heat. They both won their heats. It was a 1 second difference. Freaking Casey won. And I'm not gonna lie, I was rooting for Teresa and Jay because Teresa, she's playing such a good game this season. But are you surprised that Teresa was able to make it so far and almost beat Casey?
No, I think, like you said, I feel like Teresa's been playing a really good game. You know, it hasn't been shown up until, you know, recently, but I feel like there's a reason why she, you know, was in the runnings of being the winner, because she has the experience. um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, she, although she hasn't been quite loud and vocal earlier on in the game, I feel like whatever she's doing is clearly working. And you know, Casey, she's a fighter. I mean, she's gonna scrap when it comes down
Yeah.
to it. So I'm not surprised that Casey won that, but I'm also not surprised that Teresa, you know, got that far.
Now, a lot of people, a lot of the cast, whenever I'm watching this show, they're saying, oh, Teresa is a snake. She can't be trusted. Was she really like that when you were in the house?
Not really, not really. I mean, at least not to me. You know, every time I had an interaction with Teresa, I feel like I related to her, you know, in some ways, because I feel like we were kind of one of the only people that were really, you know, thinking about our families and talking about
Yeah.
our kids and stuff like that. So I think I just kind of interacted with her differently than she probably interacted with anybody else in the house.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, how can you get mad at, you know, somebody who's actually playing this game, whether it's like dirty, whether it's good? I mean, you got to respect anybody who's putting themselves out there in a way that they feel comfortable. I mean, it's better than just kind of like sitting in your room and sitting back and seeing what comes next. Like she's playing a very strategic game, and I mean, it's getting her pretty far.
Right. And I wanted to touch on this that I forgot about, but Amber B, we haven't really seen too much of her this season, and we actually got to see her, and she was freaking amazing. She was going against Teresa. Teresa, was trying to tell the rookie girls, hey, let me win this, pretty much, without actually saying, let me win this.
Hmm.
And so it was between Teresa and Amber. And Amber is like, you know what? No, I'm not going to like just step back and let you win this. I have to look out for myself also. What was Amber like in the house? Because this was the only episode so far where we really got to see what Amber is about.
Yeah, I think she was honestly waiting for her moment to strike. I mean, she's like a silent killer. That's how I felt that she was like in the house. I mean, she wasn't really getting into too many, you know, altercations or arguments or anything like that. She was just kind of like sitting back and watching. I know that you know, she was probably in the beginning conversations of when everybody was trying to get out the rookies and team up against the rookies. So, you know, she was a part of that, you know, that whole rally when we weren't going for it. But, you know, just the way that this sounds, I mean, it sounds like this she found her perfect opportunity to, say, screw it. I
Mhm.
have the potential to win this game, not only the challenge, but the entire game itself. And I'm gonna, take that opportunity now and show people that, I am a threat in this house.
I'm glad you mentioned the rookies because I want to talk about the rookies real quick. I don't know what it is about you guys, but you all are like, you're killing it this season. Like you guys are still in the house. The majority of the rookies are still in the house. What do you think it is about this season where you and the rest of the rookies were just a completely different batch of newcomers to the game?
Yeah, we were definitely a little more edgier than I've seen rookies in the past. I think people just got tired of, watching the vets do the same thing year after year after year, getting tired of the vets winning the game year after year after year. I mean, with the world, being in the state that it is, and with the protest and the pandemic, I feel like just tensions were flared, as soon as there was some kind of friction like in the house, and people were just kind of ready to explode and let loose. And you know it was
Yeah.
crazy. It was crazy to be a part of, but it was cool. I mean, I'm glad that, a lot of people said that I kind of started that entire rallying of the troops with the rookies,
Yeah.
kind of standing up to the vets. But I'm glad that it happened, and it's completely
Mhm.
changed the pace of the whole game.
Yeah, definitely, man. I completely agree. I call it the rise of the rookies this season. So it's so interesting because as soon as you leave the house, all hell breaks loose with everyone. So I'm gonna break this down as best as I can. But first we have Devin versus Fessy. Devin has said from day one he does not trust Fessy. He doesn't trust anyone in the Big Brother Alliance. So he goes after Fessy and he rubs Fessy the wrong way, just like how he rubbed Josh the wrong way a couple episodes ago. What do you think about Devin's gameplay? How he plays the game by going after certain people. Is that fair for Devin or is that the game?
I think it's the game. I mean, I think it's the game. I think you just have to play it. Like you can't. I don't think Devin is playing a scared game.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people say that he's a very bold person, and upfront, and brash about certain things. But I feel like that's kind of the perfect mentality and characteristics to have. Playing this game. Like, whether people think he can beat Fessy or not, it's causing a reaction, from Fessy, from the other people in the house. And I think Devin likes that. I think he's subtle, but I think he likes creating chaos, like around him, not just in the situation that he's in. But I think he likes throwing off everybody by
Yeah.
doing something that everybody's going to react to.
Right. No, I agree with that, man. And so, side note, actually, and this just came to me. So he's always said that no one can beat him in an elimination. I remember, I think it was the first or second episode. I think it was the first episode. You said you've taken down bigger guys before. Do you think if it was you and Fessy on that battleground, do you think you could win against Fessy?
I mean, if it was a hall brawl, probably not. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, anything else, I mean, I feel like I was an amateur wrestler when I was in high school, and I was taught that anybody can be beaten on any given day. That everybody has a weakness, and those challenges are so unpredictable. Those eliminations are so unpredictable. You never
Mm-hmm.
know who's going to have the advantage in what. So, if it came down to me and Fessy and something. I do have, the probability of beating him.
I like that answer, man. I like that answer. I want to continuing on Fessy. I kind of felt bad for the guy. So we had Devin going after Fessy, and then we had Kyle going after Fessy, and they're trying to rile him up. Josh tries to calm him down, but then Josh gets all riled up. You know how Josh gets. So now he's going after Kyle, and Josh is going after Devin. What was Josh like in that house? Is it really like how the show is portraying him?
Josh, Josh is he's like 0 to 100. Like he can be so quiet and subtle at times, like a gentle giant, and then as soon as something pops off and he gets pissed or frustrated with something, he's like an animal. He's all over the place, screaming at the top of his lungs, and uh, but Josh was pretty cool. I think I'm just too nice. I think everybody's like a good person. But no, I mean, I feel like that's how Josh is. Sometimes he's quiet, and then once something happens that he doesn't like, he just explodes.
Was it entertaining to watch whenever he did
Oh
explode
yeah,
in that
for
house?
sure. I almost like would see it. I'm like, man, I don't even think I could get that angry.
Right.
Yeah.
I always say I'm a fan of Josh because he's great TV. So I wanna go back to Teresa, and I want to go back to that conversation she had with CT about wanting Darrell out. So it turns out CT might have told people about that conversation, and so people are not too happy with Teresa. So come deliberation, everyone's going after Teresa and Jay. Teresa calls out CT. Was CT in the right for doing that, for going behind Teresa's back and making it into a bigger situation than it was?
Um, I don't know. What I think I think people, in the back of their minds think, let me try to blow this situation up more than it kind
Mm-hmm.
of needs to be, just to create some chaos like in the house.
Yeah.
Uh, they've known each other for years. I probably would have, felt hurt in a sense if, somebody that I knew or I called a friend or I was close to, put me on the spot like that. But again, like, this is a game. This is a game, and
Yeah.
and people are playing it. I feel like things like this are bound to happen. People are bound to get pissed off with something or frustrated with something or angry, and
Mm.
hearts are getting broken and lines are getting crossed, and it's just messy. But
Yeah.
it's just a game.
Right. No, I agree. And so in the end, Leroy, he gets his wish. The House votes Jay and Teresa. Um, and Leroy is saying, you know what? He wants to go in. So come the elimination, there is a huge bomb that's revealed to the entire cast. And TJ pretty much says, you know what? Since the guys didn't participate, none of their votes count. Literally yelled at my TV screen. And so I'm like, all right, this has to change it. But still, nothing changed. Like, it was still Jay and Teresa. So Leroy, he decides to go down. Dude, Leroy killed it. He won. Like, the guy was Speed Racer. And I'm going into this elimination thinking Jay had it because Jay was on Survivor. It was the elimination where they're on their back and they're like trying to like scoop down the pole with fire. It was crazy. Are you surprised that Leroy pulled it off?
No, I think he already won the psychological game before he even got strapped up into that. I definitely feel like Jay probably felt, a certain way. Even though Jay's a competitor and, he's super athletic and he could probably win a lot of those, type of challenges where you're climbing or hanging upside down and stuff. I just feel like psychologically,
Mm-hmm.
Leroy probably had him because, obviously of what Jay and Teresa did the week before. And this was probably a situation that he just didn't see himself in the following week. And I definitely think that, Leroy had that going for him, and he pulled it off.
Yeah, and it was so bittersweet too because I'm a huge fan of Jay. I've been following him since Survivor, but at the same time, this is Leroy's last season, and I'm rooting for him to make it all the way and get that W. So it sucked to see Jay go, but I was so happy to see Lee get that win. But I want to know, man, what do you think is gonna happen with the remaining episodes?
I don't know. I know that things are starting to pick up. Like you said, I feel like as soon as I left the house, things just started to erupt. Uh,
Hmm.
from looking at everything, and clearly, I don't think that I have anything to do with that.
Yeah.
But I do think it's getting close to finding out who you're wanting to run the final with, and a lot of people are making these big decisions to try to get people out, and um, you know it's anybody's game at this point. At least where I'm standing and what I'm looking at, I feel like people are starting to kind of grow some balls, and they're doing some pretty crazy things that's affecting everybody in the house. So I think it's anybody's game at this point.
Yeah, no, I agree. Who are you rooting for? Who do you want to take home the W?
I don't know. I really don't know. I always like a good story. I mean, I feel like Leroy and Cam have a pretty good, thing going in the house, and they're making some pretty, good and smart decisions. So I wouldn't be mad at seeing Leroy and Cam, walk away with everything.
That would be epic, man. That would be very epic. I want to switch gears and I want to talk more about you for a second. So you you left the house and everyone couldn't be more happier for you. It was such a positive thing on what you said and what you touched on. And it's for the people who don't know, like you left because you wanted to focus on your mental health. Can you can you talk a little bit more about your decision to leave the house?
Yeah, I think it was definitely a very hard decision to make. Uh, I definitely wanted to stay, but there were so many different things that made me come to the decision of leaving. And one of those things were, I think, one of the bigger, things out of the entire decision of leaving was my mental health. And I think it was good that I was able to recognize where I was mentally, and how I felt, and knowing my limit in that very moment, and saying that I got to take a step back, and hopefully be able to come back for another season once I'm in the right mindset, and when I'm not thinking
Right.
about pregnant wife at home, and yeah, I think everything happens for a reason. I didn't expect for uh, the reaction that it got, the positive responses that it would get. I was afraid to, kind of watch that episode because I just didn't know how they were going to air it, and what the backstory of it was going to be. So I'm glad that it ended up being a really good thing for me, and for everybody watching, because I think that it touched a lot of people. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the positive reaction because I love how you have such a huge platform. You are a very well-known guy before you even came on to the challenge. And so for you to use the platform that you have to focus on mental health, I thought was amazing. And I became a huge fan after I saw that, man.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Again, that's something that I just wasn't expecting to happen. Obviously, nothing that I can prepare for. It just kind of happened, and I'm glad that I did take that step back, and made a decision that inspired thousands of people, around the world, and kind of put the focus on mental health and mental health awareness, and yeah, it was a pretty cool thing to watch that on TV.
Yeah, that's so dope, man. And I also want to talk about, your career outside of the challenge. So you're a major league wrestling champ, bro. Like that's a pretty big deal. And I don't know, but I can just get a sense that you're a very humble guy, which I appreciate so much. What's next for you? You've done all of these big things. You signed with WWE. What's next for you?
I think, a lot of things are just super up in the air right now. I'm kind of just taking advantage of every opportunity that I have, especially with this pandemic going on. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm jumping at everything. I'm always working on my own projects. So, what's next is, my music. I'm starting a podcast with my wife pretty soon. I'm still going to be wrestling, not as much, but I'm still going to be, trying to be as active as I can be, because I have a son on the way. So I
Hmm.
have, tons of things that's going on. Hopefully, in the future, we'll be, seeing myself again on another season of the challenge. Hopefully, because I would love to do it again. So yeah.
If you so you said you want to be on another season of the challenge. What would you do different? Because I feel like you were playing a pretty good game. So would you play the same game that you were playing this season if you come back another season?
I think so. I think I was playing a pretty, good game. I think I was playing a smart game. Um, I think the biggest difference, and I think the biggest, game changer for me is all of the stuff that I wasn't aware of during that first season. Like, if I would have known when I was going to be able to, call my family, it probably would have changed a lot of things. Uh,
Hmm.
you know, it was a lot, and I'm sure. I think also having a partner in the game, that kind of threw me off too. I was thinking I was going into this game, fighting for myself, but having to kind of, protect somebody else and making sure that they didn't get, heat on them, because then it would have dragged me into elimination too. So it was like a little weird to have to like worry about somebody else too, to make sure that, your name was on the chopping block. But I think I would play us, probably not the exact same game, but pretty identical.
Okay. And I also want to talk about your collaboration with Jay and Joseph. You guys released this sick song, and usually when people release anthems about a show, it can be a little corny, but I listened to this and I'm like, damn, like I could hear this on the radio.
Nice.
What was it like working with them, and are you gonna be doing any other future projects with those two?
I hope so. I really hope so. I think, I didn't get to have much time with Joseph inside of the house. I spent a little time with Jay inside the house, but um, not Joseph. But he's a pretty cool dude. He was, and I think he's still, traveling, trying to meet up with as much people in the house as possible, and filming like videos for his YouTube vlogs and stuff like that. So he just so happened to be in LA, and Jay lives out here too, and we wanted to kind of come together and do something cool. So we thought about, making a challenge anthem. And then the very next day, right in the morning, we made the music video to it, all within under 24 hours. So it was pretty cool. Those are some pretty cool guys. And I'm glad that we were able to put together something that everybody, highly enjoys.
Yeah, it was so dope, man. So dope. Well, Leo, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. Any final words that you want to give your fans before we end this?
Definitely. I just want to say thank you guys so much for the understanding. Thank you for the support. I would appreciate so much if you guys can stay tuned and continue to follow me on my journey outside of the house. I got a lot of cool things, coming up, like these wrestling shows that I have coming up, the podcast that I'm starting with my wife. Um, you know, I can only hope and pray that you guys continue to, again, follow my journey, and hopefully it'll lead to coming back on this season, another season for the challenge in the future.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you, Leo. And I'm sure that we will see you again soon. Hey, if TJ says we'll see you again, then I'm pretty sure we're going to see you again. So, All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in and watching. I will be back next week for another episode of Challenge Reality News. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.